lentils. They come in tons of different colors and there are tons of varieties, and how the world cooks them, that varies as well. It's kind of working, it's just like this is gonna be a lot of work. This is how they did it before technology would sell it. Split. All the skins are floating to the top, and now I have to carefully drain it. Puppy dog dough pancakes. Some of the dishes today are a little easier than others, but I'm up for a challenge. Today we are going to explore 5 different lentil dishes from 5 different countries, so let's get started.
Hi, I'm Chamudi. I live in Sri Lanka, and the dish I'm sharing today is Parippu. It is a street snack that we all enjoy here. Parippu is lentil, so this is kind of like a lentil fritter. The most common shape I've seen is little oval shaped patties. It is a mixture made out of lentils, spices, some onions, chilies, and then you deep fry them. It tastes good like any fried dish does, and it is gluten-free, dairy-free, vegan, so I hope many people will be able to enjoy this.
Hello out there. You may not have noticed me behind the biggest curry leaf stem out there. I actually have to chop these curry leaves, and I have never chopped them before. I've always used them whole. Curry leaves are one of my favorite aromatics. Cooking with them is always just, it like makes your whole kitchen smell amazing.
It is quite easy to make with simple ingredients, so that's a plus.
My lentils have puffed up quite a bit from when I put water in them. They were supposed to sit for 30 minutes, but with all the cooking and the filming, they've sat for maybe closer to 45 minutes. So I think that's still okay, but I can't squish them completely, but I can definitely get my fingers through them, so I think they're gonna grind okay. Look at the size difference, soaked, non-soaked. That's pretty cool.
Lentil has lots of protein, so it is a kind of a healthy snack. I mean, apart from the fact that it was deep fried, of course. Parippu is originally from South India, and they call it masala vada. I think this was introduced to us by immigrants who came from there a long time ago, and this is something now every Sri Lankan enjoy. Lentils are a big part of our Sri Lankan cuisine. We have our good old Parippu curry, which we eat every day, or maybe every meal. Maybe a bit too much, but if there's rice, there has to be Parippu. It is kind of like a non-written rule here, and I think you should try this to get a taste of Sri Lankan cuisine, of course, and to understand how crispy lentils can get. You'll be surprised. Thank you.
I was a little bit anxious making these because of the batter, but I have my perfect little balls, so I'm pretty proud of them. They've definitely got a kick between the green chilies and the red pepper flakes. Like, green chili and red chili flakes? Okay. Ooh, my tongue is dancing a little bit. The lentils in the middle still have a bit of a crunch because they're not fully cooked, but it's super crunchy on the outside, so the inside feels nice and soft. I don't know if I'm actually tasting the curry leaves, which for me is a bit of a disappointment because I love the flavor of them. I don't have these with a sauce, but okay, hear me out. From my grilled cheese episode, I had this chutney called Mrs. Balls. I'm gonna link the grilled cheese episode in the description, but it's like a vinegary, fruity chutney, and I think it's gonna go really well with these. I'm just gonna try it. It's fusion time, people. It might not work. We'll see. Which one was I eating? Okay. It's so good together. I do love fusion food. I can't help it. I think it's really cool when two cultures come together and blend really well. Like, you would never think that a South African chutney and a Sri Lankan lentil ball are necessarily a match made in heaven, but I would say that they are. Yum. I like having a dip with these because on their own, they are a little bit dry. So having something, I also brought coriander chutney, but I was more interested in Mrs. Balls. Mrs. Balls, she makes a good chutney. This is a lentil episode, and this is definitely a lentil dish done in a really cool and interesting way. So we're off to a great start. Before we get to the next recipe, I do want to mention the artist behind me. Her name is Amy. All of her info is going to be in the description, and you can check out all the artists we featured on my artist page. And if you are an artist and would like to be featured, email me. My email is also in the description. Before we get to the next dish, I would like to thank Chomps for sponsoring today's episode. Chomps is actually one of my favorite on-the-go snacks. When they reached out to me, I was pretty bummed. They're a great source of protein, and the animals they use are never treated with antibiotics or hormones. They have zero sugar, and for me, they're a perfect snack when I'm on the go, either walking Asha, going to the gym. It's also great when I'm cooking and need a little snack. I'm hungry. All this cooking. They have different flavors like their original beef, but they also have a jalapeno one, which I really like because it has a little bit of spice. While it's a great snack, I also love that the brand is minority and family owned because it makes you feel good about who you're snacking with. Each stick has 10 to 12 grams of protein, so if in the new year you're looking to meet some protein goals, this will help you out for sure. You can click the link in my description to learn more, and let me know in the comments if you would be team original or team jalapeno like me. No, that was so dumb. As a fan of beef jerky, this one's really good.
Hi, my name is Jaya. I live in London, England. I am originally from Nepal. The dish that I want to talk to you about is called war, or lentil pancakes in English. War is a savory pancake made from ground lentils. It is crispy on the outside and soft on the inside.
I have to skin the urad dal, and it needs to go in a much bigger bowl for me to do this. I don't think it should be that difficult. I just have to rub it together. It's like a little hand massage.
I like war because it is so quintessentially Newar.
All the skins are floating to the top, and now I have to carefully drain it.
War is made by the Newari people of Nepal. They are indigenous to the Kathmandu Valley. It is traditionally made during festivals because it is auspicious.
This is all the skins. It's cool.
However, the Newari people are known for their many festivals, so in reality it is made quite often, but it is still very special to me. Living in the UK, I like having war and traditional Newari food because it reminds me of back home. Food is an integral part of Newari culture. Every time I make food, it reminds me that I'm part of this tangible history and an amazing culture. Newars are renowned for their sumptuous feasting and festivals. Dishes served during these festivals often have symbolic significance. War is something that both the young and old enjoy. The original batter is quite mellow, and it is rather nutritious source of protein. In all honesty, this dish is just reminding me of my Newari roots. It is one of the first Newari dishes that I learned to cook, and I even got complimented from my mum, so I'm rather proud of it. Lentils, or dal, are quite crucial to the Nepali people. It is part of our staple food. For our hilly country, lentils are a good source of nutrition. Our staple food of Nepal is the dal bhat, and it can be said that Nepali people run on dal bhat power. And war is just another form of lentils.
I halved the recipe, and I have so much. If you're gonna try this at home, like eighth the recipe. I'm gonna put the full recipe up though because, you know, that's the recipe that I was given.
I think you should try war because it is very easily adaptable and is quite easy to make. You can enjoy war as an appetizer or as a snack.
Okay, I'm gonna show you guys something special that my mom used to do for me when I was a little kid, and that's make puppy dog toe pancakes. Puppy dog toe pancakes.
It's actually naturally gluten-free, it's vegan, it's light, it's healthy, and it's just perfect to combine with a range of different fillings. And do try Newari food.
I like my plate of Nepalese pancakes. I think they look really good. They were a bit of a labor. Had to soak those overnight, which I actually forgot to do, so we had to delay the cooking, but whatever, we got there. Whoa, it was worth the labor. The lentil flavor is so good. While I was cooking them, the lentils had a very distinct smell that was like kind of fermented smelling. Wow, these are delicious. I thought that I might want to eat these with something like a chutney or a yogurt, but on their own, they're really good. That doesn't mean it wouldn't go well with something, but on its own, slaps. These weren't spiced very much. Garlic and ginger, cumin, hing, a little bit of salt, and some green chilies. I probably could have put more green chilies in there now that I'm a spice girl. But for having not that many spices in this, this is definitely a very flavorful pancake. If you're somebody who likes lentils and has lentils in their home, oh, wait, what about when I was taking the skin off the lentils? That was really cool.
It feels good. It's like a little hand massage.
I wasn't sure how that was gonna go down. There's a video I watched, which I'll link in the description if you wanna try this. That'll show you how you gotta get that skin off, but that was really cool. I was saying that if you're someone who keeps lentils around the house, this is a really interesting dish to make. It'll obviously be high in protein because lentils are high in protein. It doesn't require that many spices, and it comes out, it comes out really good.
Hi everyone, my name is Gülin and I'm from and currently live in Izmir, Turkey. When I found out about your lentils episode, I knew I had to suggest Mercimek Köftesi for you to try. Köfte is usually translated as meatballs, but this is a meat-free dish and they're not bowl shaped.
Well, that was not a great start, but I have half an onion, so let's go again.
So I guess the most accurate translation would be lentil patties. The two main components of this dish are lentils and fine bulgur that have been cooked and kneaded into submission, along with some herbs, spices, and other flavoring agents, which makes them vegan. I have always loved this dish. There is something inexplicably joyous about stuffing your mouth with a mercimek köftesi wrapped up in a lettuce leaf. It mainly tastes of lentils, but you can also taste the freshness of the herbs and the warmth of the spices. To this day, mercimek köftesi brings back the joy and wonder of childhood whenever I eat it. Mercimek köftesi is one of those dishes that we take for granted as we are growing up, but are always present at events like a potluck or dinner party for us Turks. Even though the recipe I shared is my mom's recipe, the place I think of when I think about mercimek köftesi is actually my aunt's house, and me and my cousin sneaking a couple before other guests arrive. Lentils are a part of everyday home-style cooking in Turkey. Lentils of different varieties are all a staple legume of any Turkish household pantry.
Dill reminds me of my herb episode when I was cooking with the dill soup. Oh, it's so good. I'll leave a link in the description for it.
Trying to imagine a Turkish household without lentils is like trying to imagine a Mexican household without beans. I think people should try this because it's a relatively easy dish to make, fun to eat, and also by its nature completely vegan. And when I'm looking for meat-free dishes to try, I prefer naturally vegan dishes instead of dishes that use a meat substitute. So that's why I'm recommending this dish.
I like that I did not have to soak these the day before because that is something about lentils that I dislike greatly. I'm gonna squeeze a little lemon on top. Wow. The bulgur in this is really good. Bulgur is not something that I eat that often, and I happen to have it in my house because I used it once, who knows when, for the channel, so I didn't have to buy it. But it's cool to be able to use something that I've been hoarding. I'm gonna try it as a wrap. We got butter lettuce, the fancy lettuce. Visually, I think it's interesting that it looks like meat. It looks like kofta to me, but it's lentils, which is very cool. Shaping it with my hands was definitely really fun. When I was cooking the bulgur, I burned it a little bit on the bottom. I don't really know what I could have done differently because the lentils cooked perfectly. Bottom is just a little burnt. We'll just use the top bits. Whoopsies, not sure where that went wrong. But I just have the pan soaking in there, so like, what are you gonna do? I like all of the fresh herbs in this. It makes it very vibrant, where I think it could be kind of bland. There weren't too many spices that went into it. Mine's not spicy. I could have added perhaps a little more red chili flake, but that's a personal choice. The recipe that I made is half of what's gonna be on the website, and it made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them. So I actually think the full recipe, if you're gonna make it for a party or for a group of people, is actually the right amount. Sometimes on this channel, I make things in excess and I'm eating it for days. This one, I'll probably finish by the end of the day just snacking. It's definitely a cool lentil dish. It's not too much work, and red lentils are a type of lentil that you can use for a lot of things. So it's something that I think a lot of you should try.
Hello everyone, my name is Nehal and I'm from Egypt, from a city called Mansoura. The dish I want to present to you today is a traditional Egyptian dish called Ads Bi-Gebah. The name of the dish means lentils covered or clothed with a gibbah. Gibbah means a robe or an outer garment that is typically worn by Egyptian Islamic scholars that usually come in black or dark brown shades. This is why they are called Ads Bi-Gebah, because the gibbah has the same color as the brown or black husks of the lentils. Ads Bi-Gebah is a slow-cooked tomato-based lentil dish made with diced onions, garlic and chili peppers with a lot of spices, and at the end it is infused with an aromatic oil we called in Egypt tasha, made with fried garlic and coriander.
There are only 2 times that I'll usually have tomato juice. One is on an airplane because it's so good on an airplane, and number 2 in a Bloody Mary. But look at the size of this. There's a lot of Bloody Marys I have to drink.
It's hearty, nutritious and warming, especially in the cold winters. The dish tastes savory and full of spices. It also has another caveat, which is being vegan friendly, very affordable and is very versatile and accommodates multiple flavor profiles. It can be eaten for breakfast, lunch or dinner. The lentils are basically a vessel for the other flavors, while also giving you a hearty, almost meaty-like feel that is very satiating and filling. Lentils play an integral part in the Egyptian diet since ancient times, and their origins in Egypt can be traced back to almost 4,000 years BC. Lentil is one of the oldest cultivated crops in Egypt. Remains of lentils were found in pre-dynastic sites occupied 6,000 years ago. Lentils were found in ancient Egyptian tombs. In fact, the oldest recipe for a lentil dish in ancient Egypt was written on a piece of papyrus in the 3rd century AD. Lentils are a staple in the modern Egyptian diet and is incorporated in many dishes. The most famous being lentil soup and the Egyptian traditional dish called kushari, previously featured on this channel. This dish honestly is very nostalgic and takes me back to my childhood. It also reminds me of my parents. I always think of my mother when I make this dish, as she was the one who taught me to make it. I think people should give Ads Bi-Gebah a try because it is very simple but delicious at the same time. Hope you enjoy.
Nehal said some really interesting things about lentils and Egypt that I had no idea about. Oh my God, that ghee on top, she was right. That's so good. This reminds me of tarka in Indian cuisine, where you also infuse ghee with spices and pour it on top of dal. So it's very similar. This is like a tomato soup leveled up times 10. The lentils are really nice, to be honest. Brown lentils are not my favorite lentils, but in this soup, they're really, really good. I wasn't sure how this soup was gonna turn out with so much tomato juice, but it cooked down, and it's definitely more like a stew soup than a super brothy soup. I do have a lot of tomato juice left, but honestly, I think I'll make this again because it's the perfect cold weather soup. I think the active cooking time on this dish was like 30 minutes. You had to soak the lentils for 30 minutes, but that, you could like read a book while that was happening. But the tomato soup came together really quickly and the lentils cooked in the soup really quickly, which I was surprised by. And I do feel like this will keep really well, and as it keeps, the flavors will get a little bit stronger, which is one of the things I love about a stew soup. A stoop.
Hi Beryl, I am Ranjeetha. I live in Bangalore, India. I want to present Moong dal ka halwa. Moong dal means split lentils and halwa means sweet pudding.
So before we get started, I messed up a little bit. There are 2 types of moong dal. There's whole moong dal and split moong dal. Obviously they look really different. The recipe just said moong dal, so I used whole moong dal that I soaked overnight, and it was the wrong one. But I learned in Nepal that I can scrub off the skins and these will split in half, so I'm gonna try to do that. And if it doesn't work, then we'll use this one. All right, now let's get started. It's kind of working, it's just like this is gonna be a lot of work. I got some of it, but this is way too difficult. Like the skin is just not coming off. I have to do it one by one. So I'm gonna pivot to an Instapot version, which might just be easier anyway for everybody. Sorry, moong dal whole, you're not gonna make it.
Men's like sweet roasted moong dal and feel rich because of ghee. I like this dessert because it always takes me to my childhood days. seeing my mom preparing this dessert with love and care. To prepare this dessert, she would be carefully frying the paste of moong dal.
This is a lot of ghee, and there's a lot of sugar in that. Typical Indian dessert here.
It is not common dish in India because it is time-consuming dish. It is prepared in a special occasion like wedding or to celebrate the birth of a child.
You really have to stir this, and my arm is getting tired, so I'm kind of like... But it's actually smelling very much like a halwa, which is cool.
Now I appreciate this dish even more because this is how my mom showed her love to us as kids. Even though this dish is made with ordinary 3 ingredients, the process of making it extraordinary. Usually, lentils are eaten with rice or bread, but here lentils are the star of the show. I really hope you enjoy the dish as much as I do.
We are ending with a lentil dessert, which I thought was so cool. I know we do a lot of Indian dishes on the show, but like a lentil dessert, had to do it. Halwa, let's get some raisins. You can taste the ghee, and that is not a bad thing. I'm very surprised actually. This is not as sweet as I thought it was gonna be, even though there's half a cup of sugar in this. It is sweet, but there's a nice balance to it. The texture is so good. It's very creamy. When I opened the lid of the Instapot, I saw that the lentils were still kind of whole and I got nervous, but as I stirred it for like a million hours, it was 10 minutes, everything became super smooth. I like it a lot. Like, I really like it. Obviously, I didn't start out very strong by using the wrong lentils and thinking that I could like hand shuck them. That was a silly idea. This is how they did it before technology would sell it. Split. This is the super traditional way of making moong dal halwa. It is working though. I'm just gonna be down here for a bit. I don't wanna waste them. If you're gonna try this, you need to use the split moong dal, not the whole moong dal, the split one. I like that this is lentils. It's not that you can really taste the lentils, but it's obviously balancing out all that sweetness. The ghee and the sugar and even the cardamom powder, it all comes together with the lentils to create something that's like really cohesive and super surprising in a great way. This is a lot of halwa though. I'm gonna save this for Rajat and anybody else who comes over to my house. I'll be like, welcome to home. Would you like some halwa? I hope you enjoyed this episode all about lentils. I learned so much about them, the differences between them and how many ways you can use them. All the recipes are going to be in the description. Until next time, I'm leaving you with a bean episode and a rice episode, and I will see you next